This morning, may the Spirit of God give you the ears to hear. This is Sister Liberty, and this morning I am wanting to talk about Lot's wife. I know we hear that a lot, and we even see Jesus in Luke 17 reiterate and reminds us of Lot's wife. And we have to understand something. Lot's wife, she left Sodom and Gomorrah, but she looked back behind her. And her looking back, that was a representation of the world. Us looking back to the world, us looking back to our old life, us desiring those things that we left behind. So you have Lot, you have his two daughters, and you have his wife, and they live in the land of Sodom. And the Lord plans to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah in another city, and I think Zoar, because of the sin which the Lord says has become so great. It has filled the atmosphere, it has filled the earth, filled the atmosphere, and it has come up before him as a stench, as a smell. And so the Lord sends these two angels on behalf of Abraham, who's related to Lot. He sends these two angels to save Lot and whoever else Lot is able to bring out of this place, which ends up being his two daughters and his wife. And Lot and his family, they're given the instructions to not look back. To not look back. And I like how the angel says it to Lot. He says, and it came to pass when they brought them forth abroad, he said, escape for your life. Escape for your life. We live in a way that causes us to not live with urgency. So we feel as though everything is everything, especially here in America, because we have so much. We have so much recourse. We have so much. If we make a problem, there's something that we can do. There's something that we can buy. There's something that we can find to kind of help clean it up, clean up the mess we made, clean up the mistake we made, clean up the thing that we broke. There's something that we can go and we can find to fix our problem because we live in a generation and we live in a time where people don't really want to suffer for their action. They don't want to have to pay for what they did. They don't want to have to suffer a consequence for their action. And America has pacified the people. America has made it to where, if you go out and you fornicate and you get an STD or you get AIDS, then, there's things for that. There's pills, there's medication, there's different things to keep that under control, keep that down. There's abortion clinics if you don't want to go through with the baby. If you get pregnant and you wasn't planning on having a baby, you're not ready for a baby, there are things to clean that up. There are things to fix that up. If your credit score is messed up, if your credit score is low, there are things to help clean it up. If you have a bad record, there are ways, there are different programs that you can go to, that you can try out to clean it up. You're trying to get your high school diploma or your GED and you're in your 30s and you're in your 40s and you're in your 50s. There are things, there are programs, that you can go and you can fix that. So we live in a time where everything is everything. There's no urgency. There's no drive to, escape for your life, run for your life, because as far as you're concerned, your life is not on the line. Everything is everything. Although people die, people live, people die, no one is really understanding that you have to live a depth in life kind of life, meaning I have to live every single moment of my life. I have to live every single day of my life as if my life is on the line. So that means relationships. That means where I go. That means who I interact with. That means the decisions that I make. I have to live every single moment of my life as if my life is on the line. Those who live on the wild side, those who are not going to excuse evil, they're going to live as though everything is everything, because they have that mindset that says, well, if I break something, then there's something for me to clean it up. There's something for me to patch it up and glue it up. If I do something wrong, although God is going to hold me accountable, my world, the world around me, my society does not hold me accountable. My society lets me do what I want to do. We live in a judge-free kind of zone, a judge-free kind of world where no one here will be judged, because we all do things. We all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. And so, no one's going to hold you accountable. No one's going to penalize you. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to make you feel bad for what you did. And so you don't live like your life is on edge. You don't live as if today could be your last day. You live careless. You live on the wild side, as I mentioned. And so the angel tells Lot, you have to escape for your life. That's the same message that you need to hear. You need to escape for your life. You live in a world where, if you have a medical need, you can seek medical attention. And if you can't afford medical attention, there's insurance. You can rent a car. You can buy a car, you can buy a house. There's programs to be able to get these things. A bank will let you borrow so that you can get that car. A bank will let you borrow so you can get that house. The world that we live in has really caused us to live with a lack of urgency and not living with the mindset that says this is death in life, or this could be death in life, meaning my life depends on this thing. What if I do this and it's my last time? What if I go here and today's my last day? I take my last breath. No, many people don't want to live like that or think like that, because they feel as though, well, that's living on the dark side. That's being negative. Don't be so negative. Don't be so, plain like that. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. Just live your life. You only live once. Live your life. And there's a lack of urgency. And so people are not escaping for their lives. They don't realize that there's an ark being built. They don't realize that God is coming to bring judgment. They don't realize that there's a time appointed. There's a cutoff time. They don't realize that. They don't realize that there's a day appointed to every man where they will have to stand before God and give an account. And so everything is everything to people. Everything is everything. Don't live your life like today's your last. Don't live your life like your life counts on it. Don't live your life with urgency. Do what you want to do. But there's an ark being built. There's an ark being built. And so the angels tell Lot, escape for your life and do not look behind you. Why not? Why not? If you look behind you, see, there's a whole world that you just left behind you. If you look back, that pretty much aborts the whole assignment. That defeats the whole purpose of leaving where we were and coming to get you, saving you. We would have been better off saving another family. But because of your cousin Abraham, who's a friend of God, that's what we need to be. We need to be friends of God, because God is not going to recognize everyone. When everyone stands before God, he's not going to recognize everyone. If God cannot identify you as his own, if he can't say that he knows you, then you will spend forever apart from God. You don't want to stand before the holy God, the holy king, the holy judge, the righteous judge, and he not be able to identify you. He not know you. I do not know this one. I do not know who you are. Like he told the five foolish. Who are you? I do not know you. Lord, Lord, open unto us. Open to us. Open the door. Lord, Lord, have I not? You don't know me, Lord? I did these things in your name. I prophesied in your name. I cast out devils in your name. I gave to charity in your name. You don't know me? The Lord is going to say, I do not know you. Your treasures were of this world. You stored up treasures in this world. You were not willing to excuse evil. You were not willing to let it go. You were not willing to look forward and to stay on the straight and narrow path. You wanted the world. Looking back is saying that I just can't let it go. Looking back is saying I'm not ready yet. That's what Lot's wife did. And so the angel says, look not back, neither stay you in all the plains. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed. And we know that Lot did convince the angels to let him go into the city of Zoar. And so he goes into the city of Zoar. So that means him and his family, they make it out. They make it out of Sodom, the land which is going to be destroyed, because the angels tell Lot, we can't do anything until you all are gone. So they go to Zoar, which was supposed to be destroyed also. But because Lot was going there, he wanted to go there, the angels spared that place for him. It says in Genesis 19, verse 23, the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. So they had already made it out. Many people, they're going to make it out of the world, and they're going to commit their lives to the Lord Jesus Christ. But not everyone that has left the world and give their lives to Christ is going to stay. Many people are going to go back. The Word of God says that there's going to be a drawing away. There's going to be a strong delusion given to many people. There's going to be a great falling away. People are going to go back into the world. It says, then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew up on the ground. But his wife, Lot's wife, looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. She died in a moment because she looked back. So Jesus tells us in Luke 17, he reminds us of Lot's wife as he is telling us of the end times. He's telling us of the last days. He's telling us what's going to happen. And he's explaining to the disciples, don't grab nothing. Don't go back and get anything. Don't allow your heart to be attached to these things. Remember Lot's wife. And then he says, whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. Whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. Shall preserve it. And so Lot's wife, he says to remember that, not to just say, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that story. He's saying, remind yourself of what happened. Not simply that she died, but why she turned into a pillar of salt. What happened? Remember what caused her to die. She was looking back, but she wasn't just looking back. Her heart looked back. Lot's wife, her heart looked back. There were desires that she had left behind her. There were family members and friends that she had left behind her. There were pleasures that she had left behind her. And so she didn't just look back with her physical body, but she looked back in her heart. And that was a real thing. That was a real thing for her. Nostalgia kicks in, and you start reminiscing about what you had behind you. And then you realize, am I really doing this? Am I really leaving everything that I had? Although I know destruction is behind me, but seriously, has it really come to this place? So she did not live her life with a sense of urgency. She did not live her life as though her life depended on it. A life and death situation. She did not live her life as though it was a life and death situation. Meaning, if I look back, would this cost me my life? Because many people don't consider, they don't take that into consideration, the decisions that they make. Man, if I do this, would it cost me my life? It's not that serious. It's not that serious. What if your life depended on it? What would have happened? Because she made it out. She was in the city of Zoar. She made it out. So how is it that although she left, her looking back was still costly? Her looking back cost her everything, including her own life, because she could not let it go. Why? Because her heart was attached to those things. And a lot of people, they're never going to come out of the world because they're unwilling to give up what the world has to offer them, although their life depends on it. But we live in a world where, like I said, everything is everything. You have so much. You have so many options. You have so much recourse. Like I said, if you break something, you can go get something to fix it, to patch it up, to glue it, to add some stuff to it. like I said, you get an STD, there's medication for it. You get pregnant, there's abortion clinics, abortion pills. You know, you mess up something, you can go get some insurance. Somebody will cover it. Someone will fix it. So we live in a way where we don't really have to pay for our actions, because if I mess up, I can go to the government. I can find something to cover this up. Everything is nice where I live, and so there's no God. How do I know there's no God? Because I don't have to suffer as a result of my actions. I don't have to, live with the urgency that my life depends on it. So me having this relationship, that's not bad. Me, talking to this person, that's not bad. Me listening to this music, that's not bad. Me going here, that's not bad. Our mindset tells us that here in America. Our mindset tells us, oh, it's not that serious. It's not that bad. What's the worst that can happen? That's what she felt in her heart, Lot's wife. What's the worst that can happen if I just take one more glance? I just need one more look of the worst. What's the worst that can happen? I'm sorry, y'all. My light went out. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. She felt that in her heart. What's the worst that can happen? I just need one more look behind me, and we do that. Lord, I just need one more time with my friends and my family. Lord, I just need to party one more time. I know of people who had stories like that. I just want to club one more time and I'll give my life to you. I just want to go to one more party. I just want to do it one more time and then I'll get right. I'll straighten up. I'll tighten up. I'll agree. I'll align. And people have lost their lives. I know several people who, this one individual, back where I grew up at, back in Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, he went to one last party, and got shot by a bullet that was not for him. He wasn't even supposed to die, but he went to one last party, just one more time, just one more drink, just one more smoke. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? We live our lives with a lack of urgency, and the Lord is saying that the ark is about to close. I'm about to bring judgment on your nation. You have to live your life as though it depends on it. So that means you got to start evaluating your relationships, because let me tell you something. Everybody that you are connected with is not an asset to your life. There are those that are a liability to your faith, to your walk, to your forward movement, to your journey. And if you can identify that, if you are living a compromised life, then you are going to be those that miss out. You're going to be those who the door closes on, because there is a door. And there is a cutoff time. There is a time-sensitive thing appointed. So you can't feel as though you have all the time in the world. You can't feel as though it's never going to happen to you. America has really spoiled us, and it caused us to live in a way where everything is just what it is. Like, there is no consequences for my actions, because if I go and I mess up something, if I go and I break something, there's help out there. There's financial need, there's medical assistance, there's people I can talk to, there's counselors, there's therapists. It's something for everything out there. And so why should I fear God who I can't see when I'm living my best life? Why should I fear God who you are telling me is coming to judge when I have insurance, and I have dental insurance, I have eye insurance, I have all types of recourse. I have all types of resources. I can get my GED if I don't finish high school. I can fix my credit. I can start my own business. I can move here. I can go there. I can buy myself a new phone. I can move with this person. I can do whatever I want. So there's a lack of urgency. And so no one feels as though there's a need to escape for their lives. I don't need to escape from my life. I don't need to run. I don't need to move with haste like what you're telling me. I don't need to eschew evil. You need to refrain from evil. As a son of God, you have to hate darkness. You have to hate sin. You have to hate the things that God hates. You have to hate. Listen, we have to get so aggressive and so violent with our desire to we have to get so aggressive and more serious with our lives, because our lives depend on it. I have to be more aggressive when it comes to who I interact with, who I'm connected to, because I need to be able to identify who's a liability and who's, a benefit, who's an asset. Because if I let you cost me my life, then woe unto me. If I let you stress me out of heaven, if I let you cost me my ticket out of heaven, then woe to me. Woe to me. I can't do that. I can't do that. I have to live like it's death and life. So that means with everything that I do, listen, I don't know about you, but I'm trying to make it to heaven. And so I have to do everything with urgency. I have to make every move as though my life depends on it. And so I'm going to be mindful as to who I'm connected with. If I don't care to let go of certain things, then I'm already telling God where my treasures are. I'm already telling God where my heart is. God doesn't have my heart. Lot's wife, her heart was not given over to God in that moment. Her heart did not adjust. Her heart was still attached to what was behind her. And what was behind her, the thing about it, it was being destroyed. It was being taken from her. It was being destroyed. Yet she could not let it go. Everything in this life has an expiration date. So that means it's all going to go one day. And so Jesus tells us, do not store up treasures here on this earth. He tells us that. He said, what do you benefit? What will it profit you if you gain the whole world, if you have everything in this life? What are you going to benefit when you take your last breath? What does it profit you to gain everything and die in sin, lose your soul in the end? You cannot take anything with you. We understand that. When you die, you don't take none of the money that you made. You don't take none of your achievements, none of your certificate, none of your diploma, none of your degrees. You can't take none of it with you. And so he's saying, how is that going to benefit you, knowing that you are storing up treasures here on the earth? How is that going to prosper you? It's not. It's not. So he's saying, wherever your treasures are, whatever has your heart, he says, those things are your God. Lord, I can't let it go. Lord, my heart is attached to these things. The dangers of that is not willing to let it go, even though there's destruction, even though those things that you are holding on to are being taken away right in front of your eyes, but you can't let it go. You can't let it go. Although I see that these things are being taken from me, Lord, I still want it. I still have a love for it. Those things have become your God. Those things have your heart. If God does not have your heart, what does? What does? You're going to let the things of this life cost you heaven? You're going to let the people of this life cost you heaven? Because you love them and you can't let family go. Although they're causing you to live a compromised lifestyle. They're affecting your faith. They're affecting your walk. They're affecting your forward movement. Yet you can't let them go, and you can't see what's happening. You can't see that every time you communicate with them that they're causing old emotions to rise back up. They're causing you to take back on the old man that you put off and that you died. The old you died in the water when you got baptized. You can't see that. You can't see that they're causing you to stumble back to the old you. You can't see that. I'm telling you. A lot of people are going to miss out on eternity with God for family and for things. America has really messed us up. As I was in worship yesterday, I'll share this. As I was in worship yesterday, the Lord began to bring to my spirit. He says, Liberty, you are too Americanized. You are too Americanized. You think like an American. You make decisions like an American. You have characteristics like an American. There are things that as an American you've taken on and that has caused you to be a certain way. That's caused you to be rich in your mind. That's caused you to live with a lack of urgency. That's caused you to believe that I'm this way when really I'm not. And so as the Lord was revealing these things to me during worship, I began to repent and announce my allegiance as an American, because that's affecting me, because I've learned to be a particular way as an American. I've learned to think a certain way and pick up a certain mentality as an American because of the way my society is shaped and how I was brought up. That's based on the American way, the American mindset, and I have to be delivered from that, because if I'm not careful, when the Lord brings judgment on the nation of America, if those ways about me are not changed, if God cannot associate with me, if God cannot associate me with being separate, then he's going to judge me with the rest of America if I'm guilty by association. If God is still associating me with America, if God sees me and still sees the American way on me, then when God pours out judgment on America, he's going to judge me right along with America. And so I have to renounce my allegiance, and I have to ask Lord to deliver me from these ways and these mindsets, because the mindsets are so dangerous. The mentalities are so dangerous. The American way is so dangerous because we treat God like we treat everyone else here. We treat God with an entitled heart. We treat God as though he owes us. We treat God as though he's not going to judge us for our actions. We treat God as though he's supposed to understand and he's supposed to cut us some leeway. We treat God like that. And so we don't reverence God like we should. We don't honor God like we should. We play too many games here, and it's because of who we are. We've taken certain mindsets and certain characteristics on, and we need deliverance as a people. We need deliverance. Otherwise, I'm telling you, the things here in America will have your heart, and it will cost you your life. If you don't live with urgency, if you don't live as though your life depends on it, then it will cost you your life. Because you would do anything to save it, because your heart is here in this place, just like Lot's wife. And so when Jesus tells us to remember Lot's wife, he's saying, remember the situation. Remember the condition of her heart. Remember what she was looking back to. She didn't just turn around. She was looking back to her past and to her old life and what she had and what it meant to her. It meant more to her than her freedom. Lot's wife was free, but you know, people like bondage. People like slavery. The children of Israel, they wanted to go back to Egypt. You're going to have many people that leave the faith because they want to go back to the world, because they look back to the fun times that they had, although they were in bondage, although they were in sin, although they had moments of anxiety and depression and discouragement and were suicidal. They look back to all those good times and they overlook the bad times. They overlook the times where they were left to themselves. They overlook the times where people would betray them and backstab them. They overlooked those bad times. The children of Israel, they overlooked the bad times that they had in Egypt when they were beaten and raped and abused. They overlooked that, and they thought on the times where they had food to eat, like the leeks and the melons and the cucumbers and the garlics. They began to reminisce on those things, and they overlooked the bad. They desired to go back to Egypt, and if they had the opportunity to, they would have went back. They would have gone back. I have to want God more than I want anything else on the face of the planet. It doesn't matter how nice it is, how good it sounds, how good it feels. I have to want God more than I want anything on the face of the planet. That means more than I want a relationship with my family. My family hates God. My family is wicked. They do not respect the calling of my life, because if they did, then the interaction with them would have been different. It would not have been, the communication is always compromised. There's always disrespect. There's always that slap on the wrist, that discouragement. I'm trying to not get into the depths of what I'm saying, but every time there is an interaction with my family, it's always negative. It never turns out good. They don't want what I want. They can't see what I see. They don't want God. They hate God, and they're always disrespectful. They're always disrespectful. I have to be able to identify these things in my life that gets in the way of me and God. Because if I'm willing to compromise, if I'm willing to let things just be what it is, then I'm saying that, God, these things are more important to me than you are. These things have my heart. I have to want God more than I want anything else. I have to live every moment and every day as if my life depends on it. So that means I'm going to be more mindful as to what I let into my heart, what I let into my ears, what I let into my eyes. Jesus said, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it are the issues of life. Did Lot's wife guard her heart? No, she did not do a good job with guarding her heart. The issues of life are here. The feelings and the emotions are here. The thoughts that are here comes from here. Guard your heart. Protect your heart. Be mindful of what you let in. Settle it in your heart that you are not going to allow anyone and nothing to come between you and God. You got to settle it in your heart, because many people are going to leave the faith because of what they had in the world. They could not give it up, and they may have given it up for a moment. Lot's wife, she left it for a moment, but she went right back to it in her heart. So you're going to have those, they're going to leave it for a moment. But if they're not really dealing with what's here, if you're not dealing with what's here, then you're going to go back to what's here. You're going to go back to what's in your heart. If you're not dealing with the things in your heart, then you are going to go back to what your heart is holding on to. Family, the lifestyle, the friends, the partying, the pleasures, the desires, you're going to go back to those things, because those will be the things that have your heart. If you're not dealing with it, if you're not giving up those things, Lord, remove these things from my heart. I love these things, and it's hard to give it up. Help me, give me strength, change my desires. Help me to eschew evil. Help me to hate evil. We need a hatred for evil because we don't have it, because we like it. You know, man doesn't have a hatred for evil because man likes it. You like it. You like bad things. You may not do it, but you watch it. Or you may not watch it and you do it. You like bad things. You like being unequally yoked because you like the sense of pleasures, or the sense of pleasure that it gives you when you talk to that family member. Although they're always bringing up old movies, you know, they're always bringing up what you used to do back in the day. They're always bringing up that one time and that one time. You like that. That gives you a sense of pleasure. You like evil, and you must hate evil. This is why a lot of people are going to stand before God and He not know them. No, I don't know you. You don't look like me. I'm this way. I'm this way. You were a compromised person. You lived a compromised lifestyle because you didn't want to hurt people's feelings. You didn't want to cut family members off. You didn't want to stop doing this and stop doing that. You didn't want to look holier than thou in their eyes, in the eyes of your friends, in the eyes of your peers, in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of the world. You didn't want to look like a holy person. You did not want to look like a righteous person. You did not want to look like a perfect person in their eyes. But that's what I was calling you to. That's what I was calling you to. And you did not want to give it up. And so I don't know you, Lord. Don't you know me? I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to be very disappointed on that day. Very disappointed when they stand before God and God does not recognize them. He cannot identify who and what they are. Oh no, you are not me. These holes in my hands, your name is not on them. Your name is not there. Because those that I know and that looks like me, they live like I did. They live a sacrificial life. They live a life. They did not love their lives even unto death. You love your life. You love your life too much. That's why you do any and everything to please yourself. And you're not living with the urgency that your life can end any moment. You're not living with the urgency that Jesus Christ is coming back. You're not living with the urgency that your world is falling apart and that the Lord is promising to bring judgment on it. You're not living with that urgency because you have so much. I'm telling you, we need to be delivered from the American mindset and the American mentality. I'm telling you, we're too rich here. Jesus said that it is easier for the camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man. He's not talking about those that just simply has millions and billions of dollars. He's talking about those that are rich in their hearts. You are rich in your heart. How do you know that you're rich? Because you have options. You have options. And when those options play the role of God, when those options have your heart, then that's how you know. How do I know that I'm rich? When you have options. When you have options. And when you are unwilling to give those things up as the Lord is requiring you to. Lord, I can't give this up. I invested a lot on this. You know, I worked hard for this. I spent years on this. I can't give it up. Okay. Jesus told, you know, the individuals at the end of, I believe, Luke 9, he says, no man putting his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of heaven. Oh, no, I understand that family is your idol. Family is your God. No. Go bury your father. I understand that you want to go and bid them farewell. I understand that's your idol. That's your God. I understand. Jesus is saying, no man that puts his hand to the plow and looking back is fit. I understand. Listen, Wherever your treasures are, that's where your heart is. I understand completely. Have that. If the world is what you want, you can have the world. Do understand that it's not going to profit you anything, because when you die, you can't take none of this with you. And if you die in sin, then you can't spend forever with me. And so the Lord is speaking to those that have ears to hear. Those that already understand, oh no, I have to live as though my life depends on it. Everything that I do, I got to get more serious. I have to be that serious, because it's that serious. And it takes all of that. Oh man, that person is too serious. It's because my life is on the line. My soul is on the line. I'm trying to spend forever with God. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it, because when I stand before God, you're not going to be there. My family is not going to be there. My mom's not going to be there. My grandmother's not going to be there. My uncles, my cousins, my aunts, my siblings, they're not going to be there. It's just going to be me and God. Me and Him. And I'm going to have to give an account for every single thing that I ever did. And I will not be able to justify and make excuses in the presence of the Holy God. So I need to live my life as though today is my last day, because it could be. That's not being negative. That's not casting a snare on you. That's what Jesus preached. That's what Jesus preached. Today that you hear my voice, harden not your heart. Harden not, you do not harden your heart, because you don't know when you will take your last breath. Your life is but a vapor. That's what Solomon says. Your life is a vapor. It's here today and gone tomorrow. So don't play with your life. Don't play Russian roulette with your life. Don't gamble with your life. You better surrender. You better lay your life down, or it will be taken from you. So let's remember Lot's wife. Let's take into consideration what she did to lose her life. What she was doing. She was looking back to her past. She was looking back to what was behind her. Although it was being taken from her, she looked back to that, and it cost her. Don't let that be you. In Jesus' name.